Hello students, this is Mr. Damiani and we are going to be looking at lesson 2.10 in the workbook, and I'm going to focus my attention on page 126 here. We're only going to be working through a few examples in this video. So the video is going to focus on a problem solving strategy used when you have a multi-step word problem. So let's get in. We're going to work through the word problem together. I'm going to show you how to set up a model. I'm going to let you try one, and that'll be it for the video. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and identify some key pieces of information in the word problem, and I'd like you to go ahead and underline that with me as I do so. For a science experiment, Mr. Barrows divides 2/3 cup of salt into small jars, each containing 1/2 cup. If he has 1/6 cup of salt left over, how many jars does he fill? All right, so first thing I'd like to do is I'm going to go ahead and box in my total here, and I have 2/3 cup of salt total. I also know that I'm going to be taking that salt, I'm going to be dividing it into 1/2 cup containers. And this part right here is going to be very important because he has part of that left over at the end. So he's not using all of the salt that he has. And the question part here, we want to know how many jars he does fill. So we're going to start by identifying what I need to find. And I need to find how many jars. Okay, so that's the goal for the word problem here. What information do I need to use? Well, he has a total of 2/3 cup of salt, so write that in there, please. He is going to be dividing that into equal 1/2 cup. So let's go 1/2 cup containers, or sorry, 1/12 cup containers. And he has 1/6 left over. All right, so that's just identifying those pieces of information that we need to be able to pull out from the problem. How will I use the information? Well, we are going to set up a bar model. It's going to be our strategy here. But I know that since I have a leftover that I'm going to do some subtraction, and I'm going to do some division here. So this is a two-step problem. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here to the solve the problem piece. All right, so in the problem, it gets a little bit confusing because he has a certain amount of salt that he begins with. There's some salt left over, and we want to know how many containers he has. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and set up a bar model here. And the bar model is simply a rectangle, so go ahead and draw that in there. And for this situation, that bar model is going to represent the total amount. So in this case, that bar model is going to represent 2/3 cup of salt. So that's how much cup of salt he has in the beginning when he first gets started. Now, the next piece of information that's presented in the question is how many equal containers he's going to use, and those are 1/12 cup jars. And then he has that 1/6 left over. So before I can do any division, I have to take care of this 1/6 left over. So if this bar represents 2/3, then I'm going to say this chunk here represents the 1/6 that remains. Okay. And what I want to do in the first part of this problem is I need to figure out how much this part of the bar represents, because that's how much he actually gets divided, that he actually divides up in the problem. So first step here is I need to take 2/3 and I'm going to subtract 1/6 from it to find my remaining part of my model here. So I have to find a common denominator, and I know 3 goes into 6, so my common denominator is 6. Find my equivalent fraction, 3 times 2, 2 times 2, that gives me a 4 up top. And I have a 1/6 on the bottom because nothing changes. It's like multiplying by 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. So I get 3/6 left over. So I know that this part of the square here, or the rectangle, sorry, that part of the rectangle stands for 3/6. All right. Now this is the salt used. So I'm going to take that 3/6. There's the second step. I've done the subtraction. My second step here, I know that we have used 3/6 cup of salt. I divide that by the containers that I'm working with, which is the 1/12. So I've accounted for the 2/3 by subtraction. I've accounted for the 1/6 again by subtraction to find that remaining amount of 3/6. And now I'm going to go ahead and apply my skip, change, and flip here, or my multiplying by the inverse. And I have 3/6 times 12/1 equals, I'm going to divide out a common factor here, divide by 6, divide by 6. 6 divided by 6 is a 1, and 12 divided by 6 is a 2. 3 times 2 is 6, 1 times 1 is 1. Final answer here is that he will be able to make 6 jars, or fill 6 jars. All right, so there's a two-step problem, and using the bar model to help organize our thoughts. What I'd like you to go ahead and do now is please turn the page to 127, and we are going to work through question 1 at the top. All right, so I'm going to get you set up with the diagram, and then I want to see, I'm going to want to see you produce some of the work on your own. Okay, so in this question, you'll notice that a diagram has been provided for me, but what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up my own diagram. So I'm going to do my work for this problem over in this space here. All right, so here goes. There is 4 pounds of sand, 4/5 pound of sand in class science supplies. If 1 scoop of sand weighs 1/20th of a pound, so that's 1 scoop, how many scoops of sand can Maria get from the class supplies and still have 1/2 pound in the supplies? So that is a leftover. So that tells me that I need to perform 2 steps. So first things first, let's set up our bar model. So here's my bar model, and I'd like you to go ahead and set this up with me. In this situation, my bar model is going to represent the total amount of sand, which is 4/5, and that is pounds. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and jump in and put in my leftover right now. So I know I have 4/5 pounds total, and I'm going to go ahead and draw in my leftovers here. So this leftover here is the 1/2. So again, step 1 tells me I need to find out how much sand she actually used by subtraction. So I'm going to take my 4/5 and subtract my 1/2. I need a common denominator, okay, which is 5 times 2, which is 10. 5 times 2, 4 times 2 is an 8. 2 times 5, 1 times 5 is a 5, and I go ahead and do the subtraction. 8 minus 5 is 3. So I know right now that the amount of sand used was 3/10 pound. What I would like you to do now is perform the second step on your own. So please pause the video and complete the division step of this problem on your own. Okay, thank you for pausing the video. What I would do is always start with what I used, which was 3/10 of a pound. Divide that by the equal part in the problem here, and the scoops are 1/20th. Skip, change, flip tells me I'm going to multiply by the inverse of 20/1. I'm going to reduce here and here, and I get an answer of, again, 2 times 3, which is 6/1. So the final answer here for number 1 is 6 scoops. So I'd like you to rewatch the video if you have any questions. If you do have a question, as always, place it on that post-it note so you can come into class and we can help you out. All right.
Thanks for watching the video and have a great weekend.